Front row. You're holding up the show. Go ahead, go ahead. Come on. I can talk really fast and make up for lost time. We appreciate every one of you who showed up despite the rain. We really appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to get started. Okay, so I just want to say good afternoon, everybody. And again, thank you so much for everyone showing up despite the rain. We really do appreciate your attendance and we look forward to seeing you back here again. So I first want to say it's an honor and a pleasure to be here today in order to reveal the new website for the Orangeburg Genealogical Society. But before I do that, I'd like to take a moment to say thank you and to express my gratitude to the board members for their faith and trust in my leading this project. As a project lead for several other website developments throughout my career, I can easily say that this team has been one of the best I've ever worked with. Without them, this project would not have been possible. So thank you all, and I know that I am so proud of everything that we have accomplished together. Now let's take a brief look at the new website, starting with the home page. Carrie, are you ready to scroll? Home page. And I'm not going to go through every page on the website. That would take up way too much time and bore you to death. So looking at the home page on the, this is called the carousel. The pages, is this live? Carrie?
This is
just
live,
to
yes.
confirm. Can you scroll at my pace? I want to talk about the carousel. Right there. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is called a carousel and it has quick descriptions about certain popular topics. This one's about membership. If you can, click that. Publication store, and then there's another one in the very beginning of the three of them. You can look at that at your own time. Below this, we have the quick links to our most popular offerings, membership, projects, and resources. Don't click on that yet, Carrie. And if you go down to the next section, you'll see welcome to our new website. And the topics discussed here were about doing business as Len mentioned, and mentioning all of the communities that we research. And I think that's very important because I've been with for 4 years, done research in Orangeburg for 30 years, and I didn't know all that. So thank you, Len, for adding that on there and emphasizing that. Moving down to the next section, news and information. You will see that we plan to engage more often with the membership through these sections, and we also have the capability, just FYI, to engage with membership more frequently using an email marketing platform such as MailChimp. And that will depend upon the membership and what you have interest in having more information and engagement with throughout the year. Those will be in the format of an e-newsletter if you're interested. Last but not least, if you can scroll down to the next section, is all of us. And you can learn more about the board members, and all of us have been tirelessly dedicated to rebranding and redeveloping the Orangeburg Genealogical Society for your benefit. Overall, as you can see, the home page is informative, well-organized, and easy to navigate, and quickly answers the questions of who, what, where, when, and why, which is what you want to see on a website, and know about the Genealogical Society specifically. So too, the rest of the website is like this, and the entire website is visually appealing with a refreshed overall look and feel with modern aesthetics. We believe you will have a seamless and engaging experience while navigating it. And being fully responsive, you'll also have the same great experience across your devices. Now, I would like to highlight a couple of areas on the website. Keep in mind, you can just stop scrolling, it's fine, wherever you want to stop. I'd like for you to keep in mind that the old website had more than 100 web pages, 100. Over the decades, it had been added to, and sometimes we lost our way in trying to find information that we were looking for. So the budget the budget with our web developer did not cover 100 pages. So one of the major challenges that we had during phase 1 of this project was to determine how to consolidate all of the existing content and display it effectively on the new website. This challenge was most apparent in working with the first family biographies and family migration files. In brief, I proposed that we create PDFs for each family group to replace the web pages. The board agreed and a solution was born. But let's pause for a moment. At this time, I would like to acknowledge Carrie Allen, our incoming webmaster. Though I created the new PDF template for the family files for this project, I like designing things, that was nothing compared to what Carrie did. He reformatted all of the data for almost 300 family groups. And what I'd like to do at this time is let you know that I think he's amazing, and I want you to come up. This website could not have happened without him. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm always such a crier and emotional, but really, none of that without him. And I want you to come up here and show off your work, and I want everyone to give him a big round of applause.
Thank you, Julian. As we could pull up the first family project. As Julia was mentioned, the phase one of this project was primarily making sure that we ported over the legacy website to the new format, the new styles, and with the style guide that Julia came up with. The first family bios were copied, using that, in that format. A couple of the updates, or a couple of the bios, we ended up upgrading or updating, some of the information on it. If we pull up the HUDOs, for example, the HUDO, this is what the new style guide for the first families looks like. The HUDOs has been updated with new information from Joel based on his documentation that he provides in his book and the newsletters that that we produced. Let's go down. Down. Most of the first family projects are going to, everything is exactly the same. The content is exactly the same as what was on the legacy website, except for the ones that we touched. The HUDOs we touched. Scroll down, and how many HUDOs are in this one? How many HUDOs are in this one? Maybe descendants, yes. Yeah. Excuse me? Right. From Isaac HUDO. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Okay, if we could pull up the colors. There's one that we ported over from the standard what was on the legacy website. But one of the things that we did with the first families is we were looking for a way to tie in the migrations, so that which families were family groups from the original settlers, which ones of those were the ones that had migrated to other states. So if you scroll down to the end, scroll one, okay. What we added to all the first family templates is a family migration section that just touches on whether or not we had any information on migrations. Colors is one that we don't have any documented bios to date for migrating to other states, and we're looking for that information in any color descendants that in the membership we need help in trying to collect that information so that we can complete the our first family story. Not only during the initial years in Orangeburg, but also what comes after. if you pull up the Herger family, the Herger family, is one of my principal areas of research. I'm a descendant of the Hergers. My mother is a Herger. She may be one of the oldest living direct descendant out of, from Heinrich to date. She's 93 years old, and she's still with us. Go down to scroll down. So again, what was the revision that was up on the legacy website is the revision that we'll see here. It was going down to the end, it just migration. This is an example of one that we had some migration information about. So we put a notice or a paragraph in the report indicating that there's, children, grandchildren of the Hergers have migrated to Mississippi and then Florida. And those of you in the last several newsletters have seen, some of the updates that, that I wrote that have been included. That now we've got Florida information about the Hergers that we didn't have before. That was published on the website. Okay, going to the migration projects.
That
Yeah.
question.
Mhm.
Those family pages, are they printable?
Yes.
PDFs?
Yes, these are PDFs. They're they are printable, they're downloadable.
Okay,
Um,
and the second one, once you get into that PDF, is it searchable?
the PDF, no, not directly on the website.
All right, but within.
Now you'll see in a minute that some of the larger migration files, I do have the indexing capability that I added to them.
Can I ask another question?
Yes.
These are the original list of first families on the website.
Yes.
I've always wondered why that particular list, and what was the first family, considering there are a lot of other families that were in the next 30 years were there. I just was curious about what your definition was for that. Because you had that other group that has all the other people that came there.
Right.
There's some very large families there tied to that
Well,
came in.
Those of you, some of you that've been here, beneficiaries.
Well,
The question is what made a first family versus all the other?
yeah, you've got three brothers groups. You got on the website, the first family, then you have this other family, which is actually gets big. And then you had other there, the migration people that start reading, which makes it different. I'll talk. I never could figure out what was that rationale, because there were equivalent. There were plenty of people that were in that second group that were just as big, in the 1750s in that time frame. And the cards were is interesting here. You had them in the first family. They didn't come to 1750s.
Second was, is we couldn't find anybody to write it up.
Well, then you answered that question. If that's the answer, that's the correct answer. That is a good answer.
It was intended all along that we would get researchers on the second group to move them into first family group, because they are first family.
Well, then you've answered that question. Thank you.
That predates.
This is not a final
This
list.
is not a final, this isn't the final list. I know, we know some of the original, there's some original settlers from the 1735, group of original Switzers that came into, Orangeburg. They're not represented in the first family cases. As Billy said, we haven't, I don't have that. written up. I don't see that written up anywhere, by a researcher. The Hug family, we know that the Hug family came in with that group. I don't have a Hug family first family report that, and so it's not present up here. I'm currently, working on a Hawk family, which I believe is connected back to the Hugs. And so I might end up, adding that, at some point in the future.
Before we leave today, we're gonna have a section, at the very end, just to make some comments. Today,
Sure.
then I'll hold up my comments.
Okay.
And come back to that issue.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on to the migration. Julia came up with the concept of trying to visualize more of the migrations and make it easier to navigate, through through the webpage and what we originally had in the legacy. And she came up with the concept of, just visually showing it as, a map. And there's multiple ways we can get into, do a stepwise refinement into getting into more of the details with the migrations. If, for example, if you hover over the state, you can pull up the list of families that migrated to that state. If you scroll down, there's a list, and if you click on the plus sign, you can get that same list of, families. You can go down, you can also go down and click the more detailed area, and you pull up the state, what the state laws were. Now, this is a port of the existing information that we had, by state, where the bios have been all ported over into a single file indexed by surname. If we go back and go back to the Mississippi, we talk about the Mississippi. So we have intro detail on Mississippi's list of families. Currently, these list of families are not linked yet, but if you go back up, there's a linkable a searchable PDF. And what we've done is we put all the family bios inside the state, inside one PDF indexed, by surname. And as the previous example, from the first family report, I said, well, we had herders that migrated into Mississippi. And here's where, you can see that, John Herder and his family migrated to Mississippi. If you click on John Herder, then it indexes, straight to the John Herder, Rachel Scholl, family that moved into the Mississippi area. And the bio that's listed here is essentially the same information that we currently have. And some bios are more complete than other bios. And on this particular one, since I've got domain expertise in with the herders, and I've already published in the newsletters some updates about the herders that have migrated into Mississippi and Florida. I just, I took the opportunity to update this information in this particular, report. And so now we've got it reflected, on the website. But we need to do a lot more. We need to do that to a lot of the other families that have moved into, these areas where we have scant information about it. As you can see, this is straight PDF, it's scrollable, printable. You can go down, find your, find the family that you're looking for. go back to the top, index down to the families. You know, so you don't have to scroll through a big document. Mississippi happens to be the largest document we have. You know, others are very short. But we're looking for information. We're looking help from the membership to kind of to flesh some of the details out that we have about this family, about these members. Yes, ma'am.
So this was our most complex project because one of the things we realized, Harry and I had to have a very long discussion about this, because the original plan was to compile the migration information for each family group, that information that we had for each family group back on the biographies. Well, we started to do that and then realized that a lot of information was incomplete, absent, incorrect. And so this is going to be an ongoing project that if anyone wants to help and volunteer with this, it'd be wonderful, because to compare where the family was and did they really go to this particular state, it says yes, but there's no information attached to it. So this really just bogged us down for a lot. But in any case, we'll figure it out. If anybody wants to help, that'd be much appreciated. But also, this is like research on the go. I mean, the huge benefit to everybody is that you no longer have to copy, paste, reformat Word, and then print something out if you're interested in it, like it was on the old website. This is fantastic. You just print it out and then you put it into your research records. And you can compare and contrast and take it to the library, research on the go. This is a huge benefit for all of you, all of us, you know.
I would say that they're great clues because, as Julia said, they're not sourced. Most of the information in the migration section of our bios are not sourced information. And so, and they do need to be, and it does need to be verified. With the hurdles that I updated, there were several errors that needed to be corrected, and incomplete. It was incomplete information, and that is a situation with a number of the migration bios that we have. So,
can you scroll down a little bit, Steve, just to the list of names? So each one of those links would state, for instance, just on this page, on the first family's biographies.
yeah, go.
How this saves space is the information is saved in a PDF, and all those PDFs are on one page. Because if we had paid for our website, it was 100+ pages, it would have been an astronomical cost of money. So this was cost saving and time saving.
So the next phase of the projects, phase one is almost complete. I say almost because it's not, while you're looking at a live site right now, this site is a beta, copy. It needs to be published. We need to take down the old site and bring up replace it with this site. And that's going to happen over the next week or two. In phase two of the web development, search engine optimization is going to be targeted so that we can optimize content for search engines, so that you can, when you do a Google search, it can kind of take you to relative. Eventually, it'll find you into relevant sections of the website. Google Analytics is added to this site. Today, we don't know exactly how many hits we have on the website, and we don't know which pages people find more interesting and spend more time on than others. We just don't have that data. With the new website, we'll have the ability to collect information about how people are actually using the site that'll help guide us to the next steps on what we end up doing. We're considering adding a member portal so that you can dial into create membership portals that password protected, so that you can go into your section do things like check your membership status to see, to see whether you're current or not. As we add more advanced information to the website, maybe we put some of that information behind, for members. We'll have to work with the board on, what, when, and how we end up doing that. So, those are just, some of the highlights of what we're going to be looking at doing on the next steps. But as you can see, I think we've modernized the current website, streamlined it, made it a little bit easier, made it a lot easier to navigate through. But again, the content that we have here is essentially the same content that we currently have. That was the goal of phase one. Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Will the address stay the same?
Yes. OGS, currently we'll have 2 domains, which we currently have is, the OGSGS.org and OGS.org will be the 2 domains. We'll decommission the other sites already, the legacy site's already been archived. So just, this is going to be a matter of decommissioning the old station.
Don't have any kind of, like projected date of when it's gonna be available?
We're trying to go live next week. We've got some personal vacation, plans, and we want to make sure that mine's coming up in November. Julia's got some things coming up with her. So yeah, we're trying to get this, the new site up and going and get all the kinks worked out before we're take our time off. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
For your hard work.
Okay.
Thank you, Gary.
Sure.